Hey there, this is Karen with inspiredbygram.com. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you my weekly card challenge with my Inspired Daisies team. On Sunday, I give them a challenge every single week, and it could be anything. It could be make a card with a certain green color or floral or a masculine. But today we went off a sketch challenge. And this is the sketch challenge here we used. So this provides the measurements here. And this is like an example of the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that created this card. So I really appreciate demonstrators that can do this. It helps me out in my team. And I love how that with being part of Stampin' Up! We're all about helping each other. All right, so again, here's the one I came up with. I used Flirty Flamingo blends, and then I used the Flowers for Every Season, the ribbon combo pack. And then I used the Sweet Symmetry Designer Series paper. But for today's card, I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're still going to be using the Hippo and Friends dies, just like this, but I'm going to use some different blending colors to accent the Bumblebee card base color that I'll be using. Here's some basic pearls that we will color with our Stampin' blends. So let's get started going over all of the products we'll be using. For today's card, I've chosen to use Flowers of Friendship. This is a cling stamp set. We'll be using 3 stamps out of this stamp set. We'll be using this floral image here. We'll be using on the inside, Life is Better with Friends Like You. And then on the outside, Sentiment, we'll be using Little Card, Big Thanks. The dies come from, like I mentioned, Hippos and Friends dies, and I just lost one off the little sheet here. I mainly purchased the dies. I did not purchase, this comes as a bundle, but I purchased this die set specifically for these label dies. They're awesome, and there's so many different ones. So this die set has become a very well-used die set in my craft room. The next thing we'll be using today is the Sweet Symmetry Designer Series paper. And this does coordinate with the Sweet Symmetry Suite, which is on page 112 and 113 of the annual catalog. But I love to use designer series paper on just about every single card or project I make. So I just love all the colors in this pattern, and I thought this would be really cheerful on a Vermont rainy day. So here are the Hippo and Friends dies. I've got them already die cut, and we'll be stamping on those. Today's ribbon choice here is Bumblebee gingham ribbon. It's goes with the card base color that I'm using. All right, so let's get started here. We'll go over the measurements that's in the challenge. So it said to use a card base that was cut 5.5 by 8.5, and I've already pre-scored it at 4 1/4. So that is our card base. Again, I'm using Bumblebee cardstock. And then it said to mat it with a piece that is 3.5 by 5. This is just jade. And then I chose some designer series paper with a Sweet Symmetry, which is cut 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. I did add on the inside of the card because I always like to put basic white panels on the inside of the card if they're not white. So I cut this 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to layer a piece of the Sweet Symmetry, which is 3/4 of an inch by 4 all the way across. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our dies and our sentiment label there along with the panel. You're definitely going to need to use some scrap paper. So I'm going to stamp this one first here. And I'm going to ink up with the Memento Black because I'm going to be coloring in with the blends. So blends are they are alcohol based, so we need to use the Memento Black ink. So I'm just taking the ink pad here to the large stamp, and then I'm going to stamp right down on the center of that die. Again, that's a Hippo and Friends die. I'm going to hold it there. This is a rather large block, and you got to be really careful that you don't rock it. All right, so here we go. I got a pretty good image there. And then we're going to take this really small die cut here. And again, I'm going to ink up with the Memento Black. So there's only one ink color we're going to be using to stamp everything. And then hopefully I can get this straight for you. So little card, big thanks. It's a little off, so I've got another one right here, and I'm gonna try to get it a little bit straighter for you. If not, that's okay. Let me just bring it a little bit closer to my vision here. Okay, so that's not too bad. We'll go with that one. Let me put this one off to the side. And now the inside, we're going to stamp with a message, and that's the message, life is better with friends like you. So again, I'm just inking up with the Memento Black, and I'm just stamping right down on that 4 by 5 1/4 basic white panel. All right, so let me just move all these things out of the way, and we're going to start coloring with our blends. And again, I said I was going to be making this one just a little bit different. Here I used the Flirty Flamingo. In this card here, I'm going to be using a different color. I'm not using Bumblebee because one, I don't have the Stampin' Blends color Bumblebee, but I do have So Saffron, and I'm going to try to give this a try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the darker So Saffron, and I'm just going to go over these lines here just to create some darker coloring that resembles some type of shading. And flowers generally do have different colors in them. So don't be afraid to just try to color, you know, a little bit with dark and lights. I'm starting to actually invest in blends, and I got quite a few on my rack over there. I store them in the Stampin' Blends racks from Stampin' Up, and they just work really well for my craft room. So I'm just adding the white, or the lighter So Saffron. This is going to be a softer yellow. It's not as dark as that Bumblebee, but I love how the Stampin' Up colors really go well all the way around. So even though this isn't a Bumblebee color like the cardstock, it will still work for your projects. And Crushed Curry actually is another yellow that would work nicely too. And I don't have that color either, so I went with So Saffron. So now I'm just gonna go back in very quickly to just color over those lines. So I first started with a dark, then a light, and now I'm going back over with the dark, just so it'll pop a little bit. Now I'm going to take my dark, and this is Dark Soft Succulent. I don't have Just Jade, but I do have Soft Succulent. Let me just grab the, let me see what tip that is. Yeah, I want the chisel tip, because I don't have as much control with the brush tip. So what was I was saying about the Just Jade, since I don't have Just Jade, I had the Soft Succulent, and even though it's not the same color in the the designer series paper, it's still gonna work. It's just a different shade of green that's kind of a combination of the Just Jade and Soft Succulent. All right, these leaves are mostly gonna be covered, so I'm just not gonna worry too much about these. Okay, then the final step I wanna add is some Wink Stella to these flowers, just to give them a little bit of shine. So I'm just adding the Wink Stella here, and Wink Stella has glitter in it, so it's going to dry with that really nice sparkle and just give it a nice little accent. Let me show you the example here. I'm not sure if you can see it on the card, but all of these are colored in with the Wink Stella. All right, so let's set this aside because we want that to dry. We can start assembling the card next. So I'm going to just use the multi-purpose liquid glue for this card here. And see, this is just the reverse side of the example I showed you at the beginning of the video here. So I'm just taking this and using the opposite side. And again, this has Just Jade Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, and the Bumblebee color all in one. All right, so this is what it's kind of going to look like. The next thing we need to do is add, we can add some Stampin' Dimensionals right now. Just to prep up the back side of this, you're going to need to have 5, just because this is a larger panel and you don't want it to buckle on you and crush in the center there. So we'll just press those down and remove the backings. Okay, so now we're going to flip this over, and then we're going to add this to the back side here so it's flat, just like this. Now let's bring in our card base here, and we're going to center this right on top of the Bumblebee cardstock, and our ribbon can still slide back and forth. I think I got that too straight, so I'm going to just pop this up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to tie a knot bow over on the left side, and it really doesn't matter where you tie it because you can always move it. So I'm just going to create my T and then just bring that loop all the way through, hold it with my thumb and forefinger, and pull with the left side to get that nice flat knot. Now I'll take my ribbon scissors, which are right here, and we're just going to trim these up really small. We don't want them too long because it'll be too much on this smaller panel. So we're just going to cut that at an angle. And it looks like I got that twisted, but that's okay because that big, this image here is going to cover most of it anyway, so we'll figure that out. I'm going to slide this way up here just because this die cut here is a little bit bigger. We're going to want to put some more dimensionals on this one as well. And you can see where Stampin' Blends goes all the way through. That's why you want to definitely make sure you have some scrap paper underneath your work surface, or else it will just bleed through to your desk or what have you. We're just going to peel those off, cut them all off, and now we're going to slide this into position. I want to extend it over the edge here. So I'm looking at this area here that it's straight on this die cut. I know it's on there straight, and then we're just going to press that down. I covered up that crooked ribbon there, so that's looking pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our inside panel here, and we have that strip of Sweet Symmetry, which matches the front of that card. And I'm just going to take my liquid glue and add some right around, and then add this right to the bottom. And I like to leave a little bit of that white showing on the bottom there. And then we'll just add a little bit of more of that liquid glue and add this to the inside of the card. So that looks super sweet. We've got the front Sweet Symmetry, and then you open it up and you've got it on the inside as well. So now I mentioned earlier that you can color your use your blends to color in your pearls. So these are the basic jewels, and I'm going to take the darker So Saffron color, and what I'm going to do is I want to add 2 of the smaller pearls to the these 2 small flowers here, and then I'm going to color the next size up for the larger flower right here in the middle. And then I'm just going to color, and actually if you use the brush tip, it'll be better for you. I just totally did not look what I was doing there. So I've got 2 larger ones and a smaller one here. Okay, so now let's put the cap on there, and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to grab this little one here, and we're going to add it right to the base of that flower. And then the same thing on this one here. And then we'll take that medium one and add it here because it's a little bit larger flower. All right, can you see that? It really adds a lot of elegance to the card. And then we're going to take 3 more of those basic pearls, and we're basically going to just add them wherever we want. Maybe it'll look cute there on that Flirty Flamingo flower there. I like to add 2 kind of in the bottom there, and then 1 at the top. Let's go over, let's see, let's just go over on this area as well. All right, so here's a cute little dainty bow there for you. And the last thing we want to do is add this sentiment here. And I added it so it extended over to the green, the Just Jade color, and we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to want to, so let me just show you, you're going to want to put some kind of Stampin' dimensional on this side underneath the K and the S, and the regular adhesive on this side. So let me just grab a Stampin' dimensional, put it way over, and then we're going to take some of that Tombow glue and put it there. And then we're just going to add that right to the bottom of that die cut. All right, so that is your card for today. It's my team challenge card. Let's open it up. And super sweet card for you. And here's the other one as well. So if you are interested in joining Stampin' Up, I'm taping this video on May 30th, 2021, and you have just about a day and a quarter left to join in the Join Plus program, where you can purchase the starter kit for $99 and receive $155 worth of product, and that's in US dollars, plus free shipping as well. And you would add in your local sales tax if you do have some sales tax in your area. So if you're interested in joining Stampin' Up, you can visit my website, or for any of these products, you can certainly visit my website at inspiredbygram.com. I hope you learned something new and you have a great day. Thanks for watching and be well.